Hi, I'm Jodi Carlton, and I'm a neurodiverse relationship expert. And today I want to talk about codependency because this is a very common relationship pattern that I see in neurodiverse relationships all the time. I have experienced it myself personally, and I just see it all the time in my clients. Codependency is a term often associated with enabling behaviors or unhealthy dependency in relationships. But when it comes to neurodiverse couples, this dynamic can show up in unique ways. Neurodiversity brings incredible strengths to relationships, but can also really create a lot of challenges that inadvertently foster codependency. So, recognizing these patterns is the first step toward building a healthier, more fulfilling relationship. At its core, codependency occurs when one person overfunctions in the relationship to meet their partner's needs, often neglecting their own. The other partner underfunctions or becomes reliant on the first partner for emotional regulation, daily tasks, or decision making, those types of things. Over time, this dynamic can lead to resentment, burnout, and a loss of individual identity for both partners. In neurodiverse relationships where one or both partners may be autistic or ADHD or some other type of neurodivergence, the tendencies for codependency can be worsened by neurological differences in communication, executive functioning, emotional regulation, sensory needs, those types of things. So, I want to go over 6 signs of codependency in neurodiverse relationships. The first one is overcompensating for executive dysfunction. So, when this is happening, a neurotypical or ADHD partner may take on an excessive share of responsibilities, such as managing the household, planning, parenting, because the other partner, who's often autistic, struggles with these kinds of executive functioning tasks. So while supporting each other is healthy in a relationship, overcompensating can lead to frustration or the sense that the relationship is very imbalanced. And both partners end up feeling resentful for differing reasons in that dynamic. Number 2, a second trait is emotional over responsibility. So this is when one partner may feel compelled to constantly shield the other partner from emotional discomfort or misunderstanding or conflict. A neurodivergent partner may rely heavily on the other person to interpret social nuances or manage their own difficult emotions. So the other partner becomes overly responsible for the emotional regulation and balance for both of them in the relationship and oftentimes the rest of the household with the children and even the pets. The third trait is avoidance of personal needs. So one partner may suppress their own needs or desires or even boundaries to keep the peace, particularly if they fear overloading the other partner or triggering sensory sensitivities, especially in neurodiverse codependent relationships. They don't want to trigger sensory overload, shutdowns, or meltdowns. And over time, though, this self-sacrifice erodes their own sense of self for the partner who minimizes themselves. And it also can erode identity for the other partner who feels parented. Number 4 goes right along with number 3, and it is caretaking instead of partnership. So in many cases, a partner might take on a caretaker role, treating the other partner more like a dependent than an equal. So this dynamic can prevent both partners from thriving and developing their full potential because neither one is being a complete adult in the relationship. Number 5 is a cycle of resentment and guilt that results from these other traits that I just described. So codependent relationships often create this cycle where the overfunctioning partner feels overwhelmed and resentful, while the underfunctioning partner feels shame and guilt for not measuring up. And the overfunctioning partner oftentimes starts to really communicate a lot of criticism and a lot of judgment, whereas the underfunctioning partner is not actually carrying their load and is outsourcing a lot to the overfunctioner. So this feedback loop then keeps both partners stuck, and they have difficulty setting boundaries for who is responsible for what and for each person being accountable for themselves and not overgiving or over outsourcing. Now, the last trait I'm going to share today, the 6th one, is overexplaining. So overexplaining is this need, this compulsion to explain yourself. One partner, or sometimes both, may feel the need to overexplain excessively, and this can indicate a need for external approval or the need to justify because of feeling the potential for judgment or criticism. And so this is a common trait of codependency for one or both partners. And this can sometimes stem from past experiences in previous relationships, maybe even childhood or as an adult. And even in this relationship where there's been a lot of confusion and imbalance and partners don't feel safe in just being who they are or making the choices they make or having the opinions they have without feeling the need to over explain. So if you find yourself constantly needing to explain yourself just because you share your opinion or your decision, then this is a sign of codependency. I also want to say that this is not a comprehensive list of codependent traits, but these are six that I see coming up a lot in the couples that I'm working with. Now, I do want to clarify that this list of behaviors, codependent types of behaviors, can be present in all neurotypes: autistic, ADHD, ADHD, even neurotypical, and genders, all different genders. It's a commonly held myth that neurodivergent partners are always the takers and that neurotypical partners are the givers in these relationship dynamics. But in my own work with neurodiverse couples and in my own family, I've seen a range of combinations in codependent behaviors in partners who are in neurodiverse relationships. Now, in part 2, I'm going to go further into why codependency dynamics happen in neurodiverse relationships. So be sure and check out part 2 of this. And if you find this video to be helpful and other videos on my channel, be sure to like the video and subscribe. Liking it lets YouTube know that you like this content and you'll get more of it. And subscribing will also help you get notified when I upload new videos.